What? He threatened to send his troops. Everyone was startled by the news Jacob brought. They had all thought that things would run smoothly. As long as Tyler agreed to their proposal, the marriage alliance would still be on. Who'd have thought that this was how things turned out? I just don't get it. What am I lacking compared to Natasha? Why would Tyler refuse to marry me? Kate hissed through gritted teeth, livid. As a woman, she had lowered herself so much by going to the Grants to offer her hand in marriage. Not only had Tyler not appreciated the gesture and thrown her out, but he also did not even spare her a glance once the entire time. It was pure humiliation. So Tyler rejected the swap, and Natasha refuses to marry him. Now what? Someone asked. Say we go head-on against them, Kate exclaimed in frustration. Since Tyler isn't showing us any respect, I don't see why we should honor them either. Watch your words, Kate. Trent immediately stopped her from continuing. They never knew who might be listening in on them, so they had to practice caution with every word they said. You're the leader of the family, Hector. You decide. Jacob took his seat huffily and downed an entire cup of tea. He had been thoroughly put to shame at the Grants earlier on and needed something to calm his nerves. Since the suggestion for the swap has been rejected, we'll have to find other means of getting out of the wedding alliance, Hector said gravely. Here's my plan. Illinois have my 50th birthday celebration in advance, and hold it on the same day as the wedding. Illinois organize a huge banquet and invite everyone we know. A celebration for your 50th birthday? Nobody seemed to understand what Hector had in mind. How would it help to have his birthday celebration in advance? What you're suggesting, Hector, is to pressure the Grants into backing off with the celebration. Trent seemed to catch on very quickly. Precisely, Hector nodded. Since Tyler insists on forcing Natasha into the marriage, I'll hold a huge celebration on the same day, and invite Ali, the rich and famous that we know. I'm sure the Grants would dare not act rashly in the presence of all the elites. You make a good point there. Trent considered as he rubbed his chin. We have always made sure to stay in others' good books and made many valuable connections. It's time we showed the Grants who we have behind us. It might make them stop and rethink their choices before acting recklessly. Hector, your suggestion is only a temporary solution. At the end of the day, the root of the problem still exists. What will we do if Tyler really sends his troops? Jacob went straight to the point. The Grants were so powerful because they had strong military backgrounds. That was the only reason why nobody dared to mess with them, and the sole reason why the Harmons feared them. I've considered that too, so I've contacted Sir Moran in hopes that he'd be able to help us, Hector said. Sir Moran was a regional deputy chief who was immensely powerful, and based on military ranks, he was considered Tyler's superior. Will Sir Moran agree to help us? Jacob had his doubts. Jailer had put Sir Moran's daughter in trouble before. Though she might be dead now, the hatred he has for them will not vanish just like that. We will make use of this and have him help us out, Hector explained. If you really do get Sir Moran on our side, then there's still hope for us. Trent looked hopeful. I'll try my best to persuade Sir Moran before the birthday banquet, Hector announced resolutely. Sir Moran's powers were their only hope of getting through the mess with the Grants. Why would you need to go to anyone else for help when I'm here, Uncle Hector? A deep voice boomed in the meeting room. Soon after, a well-built man in a military uniform walked in with his head held high, and trailing behind him were two adjutants. Dylan. The crowd was pleasantly surprised to see the man because he was none other than Dylan Harmon, Jacob's son. Dylan was stationed at the country's borders year-round and would only be home once a year. Nobody had expected him to be back so soon. Why are you back so soon, son? Weren't you warding off enemies at the borders? Jacob quickly went up to his son joyfully once he snapped out of the initial shock of seeing Dylan. Everything's peaceful over at the borders now, so I took a few days off to come back for a bit. Dylan chuckled. Good, that's good. It's great to see you back. I haven't seen you in a year. You look even more ripped now. Jacob patted Dylan on the back delightedly. He was pleased with his son's achievements. Out of all the members of the younger generation in the Harmons, Dylan was the most accomplished of all. I've got good news, Dad. I've been promoted. I'm now a high-ranking commander in the Dark Panther Cavalry. I've got over 1,000 men working under me, Dylan announced proudly. What? A high-ranking commander? An excited chatter broke out among the crowd, who were all delightfully surprised to hear that. There were also Somna who were envious of his progress. As a high-ranking commander, he was just one step away from becoming a deputy general, and Dylan wasn't even 30 years old yet. To achieve what he had now, especially at such a young age, Dylan had a bright future ahead. Ha ha ha. Great. That's amazing. Jacob laughed heartily. My son is amazing. He's been promoted again in just a year. I'm proud of you, son. Like father, like son, Trent exclaimed enviously. You'll be as great as Tyler Grant, if not better than him in the future, Dylan. The Harmon family has produced yet another amazing talent. Hector was pleased too. Dylan wasn't far off from becoming a general if he was already a high-ranking commander before the age of 30. Congratulations, Dylan. You've attained the greatest heights out of all of us. Don't forget about me when you make it big one day. Kate sucked up to Dylan. What are you saying, Kate? We're family. If you ever need anything, just let me know, Dylan reassured with a pat on his chest. Ha ha ha. You're the best. Kate giggled. Right, Dad, you were talking about the grants. What about them? Dylan changed the topic. Well, this is how things are right now. Jacob briefed Dylan about everything that went on in the family. After Dylan heard what had happened, he laughed. Dad, Uncle Hector, don't you worry. With me here, Tyler won't dare to step out of line. You may be a high-ranking commander, Dylan, but Tyler is a general. I'm afraid. Jacob left his sentence hanging. It was true that his son was capable and brilliant, but he was still lower in power compared to Tyler. Dad, don't forget that I'm from the Dark Panther Cavalry. Even deputy generals have to treat me with respect. Dylan boasted conceitedly. The Dark Panther Cavalry differed from ordinary units. They were the best of the best, and all the high-ranking commanders from the Dark Panther Cavalry were elites. If they were to be transferred to other units, they could easily be promoted to deputy generals. That was the prestige of the Dark Panther Cavalry. Dylan, Tyler is not just a deputy general. He's been given the title of General Lionheart, and he's an official of the 3rd rank. Jacob reminded him. So what if he's a 3rd-ranking official? Dylan scoffed condescendingly. My general is the Scarlet Warrior, who is well known across the whole of Dragonmarsh. And she's a 1st-ranking official. What? The Scarlet Warrior? Everyone was astonished. The Scarlet Warrior was one of the 2 aces of the Spanner family. She was on par with Adam Spanner, the god of war, and was also the only female general in Dragonmarsh, earning her the title of Goddess of War. Her achievements were extraordinary, and she was skilled in both civil and military strategies, which was why she had such high military standing. Almost everyone in Dragonmarsh knew her. My son, I never knew that your general was the Scarlet Warrior. That's awesome. Jacob was both surprised and elated. It was an honor not only for Dylan himself but even for the whole Harmon family to have him fight alongside the Scarlet Warrior. Well, Dad, do you still reckon that Tyler would act recklessly now? Dylan asked with his chin lifted high. Though he did not exactly hold a high military position himself, he had the Scarlet Warrior backing him up. With such strong connections, who would dare mess with him? Ha ha ha. Even Tyler has to give way to the Scarlet Warrior. He's no match for her. Jacob laughed triumphantly. That's great. There's hope for us. The rest of the family cheered. What a turn of events. With Dylan's return, the Harmons finally had hopes of turning the tables. The Grants were in for a shock on the day of the birthday banquet.